Today is a day of my bike fit, and here with Phil Burt, who's going to be doing my bike fit. So if you just wanted to introduce yourself, if people don't know who you are and what you've done.
Sure, I'm Phil Burt. I was the former head physio of British Cycling and helped set up Team Sky as well. Been there 12 years until April this year, and I've now left to bring my knowledge and expertise to the wider public, which is quite exciting. So Phil Burt Innovation is about a different approach to bike fit, about comfort and performance, about people being able to achieve their goals on the bike, and the innovation part somewhat more to do with product, where we're hoping to bring like better solutions to people for their cycling needs. So maybe better shorts, better saddles, things like that.
Perfect. And who are some of the athletes that you've worked with? So we were just looking before, and there's Bradley Wiggins' shoes over there. So
yeah, so yeah, I've been very lucky since 2006 to 2018, free Olympic cycle. So I've looked after such names as Chris Hoy, Victoria Pemberton, Bradley Wiggins on the track, and then helped set up and Team Sky and their Tour de France aims and stuff. Through that period I was a physiotherapist mainly to begin with, but then towards the end more morphed into looking at some of the secret Squirrel Club stuff. So like you say, looking at performance solutions like aero shoes. Tour de France, we invented a sleep system that helped the riders recover because they used to change bed 19 times in 21 days. So that was a marginal gain that you could do if you could sleep on the same bed instead of 19 different ones. And things like that. So, but now what's really exciting is to work with people like you, because actually when you're working with those people it is fine, but mainly you're just polishing them to get even to achieve these amazing things that they do. But with the knowledge, I'm a sort of 12-year experiment in, I've been exposed to a lot of things across the world in trying to find those solutions, but we can bring some of that gold dust down to normal people. It'd be great.
Fantastic. So I think I'm going to be in pretty good hands. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have a quick chat to Phil now about kind of some of the aims that I want, because you have to have an aim. If you're going to have a bike fit, you need to know what you actually want from the bike fit, and obviously you know, because you watch my channel, that my aim is endurance riding, so I want to be able to be comfortable and like optimal position for endurance riding. And the main issues that I kind of get, which I'll chat to you more about,
sure.
I get a little bit of pain in the middle of my back, and also I kind of sit on the saddle on my weight is more on one side than kind of an even space, so that's kind of the main issue. So yeah. I'm going to take you through the bike fit process so you can see, you know, what Phil does, and we'll show you kind of the start setup and the end setup. And already he's like looked at my bike and he's like, right, I can see the first thing we're going to be changing there. So we'll see how we get on. So yeah, I'm going to be showing you through from start to finish what actually goes into a bike fit. So
great.
Let's get going. The first thing we did was just chat about me as a rider, how many kilometres a week I ride, my goals for the fit, and if there's any kind of pre-existing medical injuries that he needed to know about. And then he went on to check my flexibility, because obviously Phil is a physio, and that was just to see how my body works kind of off the bike, if I had any tight muscles or anything like that, which was really interesting. And during this he found that one of my legs is longer than the other, so that might be why I'm having more saddle pressure on one side. But he said that this could also be to do with my hip alignment, so here he's just checking, just seeing if my hips are actually in the right position. And then we attached some kind of wires onto my body, onto my arms and onto my legs, and then that was filmed by a device, and then all that data was then transferred onto the computer. So you can see there that little blue, those lines moving, that is me, and all the angles from that were then put onto that chart there, as you can see. So the yellow numbers mean that it's kind of out of optimal range, and the green ones mean that it's in the right range. And now for my favourite part of the day.
You'll like this bit.
So,
we're going to turn you around. Most people
turn you around?
Yeah.
Ah! Oh my god! I did not expect that. Sorry for the scream.
It's alright. It's alright. Now, just pen it again. How do you think we're going to get the left side?
I don't know.
Well, everybody enjoys that bit. Everybody.
Now we go into the saddle pressure mapping. So this is kind of a cover that goes over your saddle and shows where the pressure is when you're riding. So as you can see there's a lot more pressure on the right hand side, which is what I'd explained. And yeah, it's so interesting to see how that works. And he also said that I'm kind of sat a lot more on the back of the bike, on the back of the saddle, than in the middle where I should really be. And so looking at all that data, looking at me off the bike and on the bike, Phil then lifted my saddle height about an inch. He tilted the saddle forward -2 degrees and then also moved the saddle forward. And then I got back onto the bike after those changes, and the data was then kind of recalibrated just to see how everything was lined up. And as you can see now, we had another saddle pressure mapping, and it was a lot more even after that the saddle had been moved. But I'm going to let Phil explain a little bit more about how that works.
The red light dot isn't dropping over here, but I don't expect you to, I'm not going to tuck you straight over there straight away,
Yeah.
but I think if we took your satellite up a little bit more, a bit more forward, you might see that even out. You still predominantly sit on the back part, but I think it has moved forward slightly, and we have less of a high pressure spot there. This is where you're sitting across there,
Yeah.
and this is where most of your pressure is.
Was that the before?
Yeah, and this is what we see a difference in your knee forward a foot. You basically, this is how you cycle,
Yeah.
and probably. I think it's because of pelvic biomechanics with you,
Yeah.
Maybe some slight leg length issues, but we can play with that, down the pedals if you want to. But the main thing was you're sitting nearly off the back of the saddle, so that's why we moved you forward, This one, we moved your saddle up and forward. You can see how everything's moved forward,
Yeah.
and the red line's a little bit closer in the middle, And that's, to me, is a better position. We've got this joining up, that one isn't massive back there, and you're starting, as you bring the saddle up, we're making the pelvis even out a little bit. And I think longitudinally you saw that, there's a bit of red in there, but I'm not worried about that because it's transitioned to quite nicely. And if we play it, it just shows you sitting more in the middle of the saddle. So to see the red was a bit of a misguide there, was one mark.
I think that was when I stood up and moved.
So basically we're moving you forward on the saddle a little bit, although as we discussed, you like to rock to the back and use your sit bone position. I think it's quite a stable one for you.
Phil also noticed that I lock my arms out when I'm riding, which he says is compensating for me not being able to hold a lower position on the bike, which would in turn then take some of the weight off my spine. So that would alleviate some of the backache that I've been having recently. But because my kind of core and trunk strength isn't that strong, I'm not able to hold a lower position. So he's going to help me kind of get a training plan together and kind of strengthen that part of my body so that I can then hold a lower position, because he said that it does want to be able to lengthen my reach and drop the bars so that will then take some of the weight off my spine and in turn alleviate some of the back pain.